Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss an interesting problem from Code Forces, problem number D from contest 1415 Zor Gun. So if you like today's video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. So without a further ado, let's start. So you can pause on the video and read out the question statement once for yourself. The link to the question is also in the description below, so don't forget to check that out as well. So I'm just going to be explaining the basic of the question, right? So that you understand what the question is asking and what you have to do. So basically, what the question says is that you're given an array of some elements, of some n elements, right? A1, A2, so on till an. And all of these elements are in a sorted order. Sorted how? They are non decreasing, all right? Which basically means ascending order or equal to as well. That is, two consecutive elements can be equal. They are just non-decreasing. That is, a I minus 1 cannot be less than a of I minus 2. Right? So, in other sense, I also write it again so that the equality is better understood. So, basically, ai minus 1 is less than equal to ai. Okay? So, this is the kind of an array we have given. And in one step, what we can do is that we can pick any two consecutive elements, ai and ai plus 1, and we can take their XOR and replace this a of ith element by this XOR. Okay, so this suppose this XOR is b. So my array, if it was initially ai minus 1 and ai plus 1 and ai plus 2, so I take the XOR of these and I replace it with b. So my final array will become ai minus 1, b, ai plus 2. So you'll see the length has also decreased. All right. Now, what the question is saying is that we have in one step, I can do this one operation. In one step, I can take one XOR, all right. And what I have to do, I have to make it decreasing, right? So it was non decreasing. Now I have to make it decreasing. That is, destroy the beautifulness of the array. So before moving ahead, let's look at a few properties of XOR. All right. So what XOR is that if you have two bits 0 and 1, right? In binary we deal with these. So 0 XOR 0 is equal to 0. 0 XOR 1 is equal to 1. 1 XOR 1 is equal to 0 and 1 XOR 0 is equal to 1. All right. So by this connotation, I can also extend it as a XOR a is equal to 0. All right. So if two elements which are same, we take their XOR, then I get a 0. All right. By this, let's also look at another property. So let's consider three elements A, B, and C. What is common in these elements is that their MSB is same. MSB is same. What is MSB is most significant bit, right? Or basically the leftmost bit. All right, leftmost bit which is 1, we could say. So suppose A is 1 x x x, right, and B is 1 x x x, right. C is here again 1 x x and x, right. So this x could be either x is equal to either 0 or 1, whatever it is. We're not concerned with that right now. So what the property is that if I take the XOR of any of these elements, that is, if I take the XOR of A or B, A or C, or I could take C's or B. So like C's or Z and B's or C are same because XOR is commutative, right? And that's it, I guess. So A's or B is going to be strictly less than C. A's or C is going to be strictly less than B, and C's or B is going to be strictly less than A. As I'm saying, this is strictly less than and not equal to even. Strictly less. Why? Let's see. So let's say I have taken 1xxx, which is A, 1xxx, which is B, and I XOR them. So what will be? So when I XOR them, this is a symbol for XOR. So this will be 0 and these xxx will become some y, right? Some y. If they were same, it will go to 0. If they were different, it will go to 1. Right? This will become some y. So you can see if the most significant bit has become 0, that means the number is going to be definitely smaller. So in this particular case, let's see that if this was at the 0, 1, 2 and third position, so that means all A, B and C were lying in the range. These numbers are lying between 2 to the power 3 and 2 to the power 4. So all A, B and C were lying somewhere over here. Whereas this new number, which is 0, y, 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 will lie between 2 to the power 2 and 2 to the power 3. Right? In fact, it will be always less than 2 to the power 3. This will also be less than 2 to the power 4. Alright. So you can see that this new number is going to be definitely small. So by this deduction, I can say that in my original question, if I can find a pattern where 3 consecutive elements satisfy this condition that their most significant bits are same, my question is done, because I'll just simply XOR suppose this was A, B and C. So if I XOR B and C, this B and C is always going to be less than A, and hence this becomes a decreasing order. So in that case, this is always true. Now, I can also say that such a case will always be possible when there are at least 60 elements. So if my n is greater than or equal to 60, this case will always hit. Why? Let's talk about that. So in the constraints, I've been given that there are 10 to the power 5 elements in the array. Alright. So if there are 60 elements and I'm saying that there exists this pattern, so that there has to exist a pattern where 3 numbers have the same significant bit. Why? Because see, let's say we have the array of size 10 to the power 5 itself. Okay. Alright. And for each of these, every time I take 2's power, so this will be reducing behind. To have all distinct powers, that is all distinct significant bits, I will have to have one number as 100, 100, right? 10, 1. And again, this way I have to increase so that most significant bits are never same. At max, I can have 1, 100, sort of this way. I can have only 2 elements for each significant bit. So that means I can only have 30 distinct elements. So when I do 2 to the power 30, that is greater than 10 to the power 5. That means at least one repetition will exist there, and hence for n greater than or equal to 60, my answer always exists. So let's start coding at least this part. We'll move on to the further explanation as we get on to coding. Alright. So I'm going to be using the coding blocks ID. It's not that this sponsors me, at least not yet, but it's just that I find it quite handy. You can use any editor that you want. Alright. So basically, you can see I've prepared the boilerplate where I've input the array. I have taken the size of the array. So what is my first check? So my first check is if n is greater than equal to 60, I'll simply see out that this could be done in one step, right? Because in one step, I'll find that wherever that pattern exists, and I'll XOR those elements, and it is done. Cout 1 end L. Okay. Else, what if this pattern is not found? Now what do we have to do? All right. So let's look at this. If this pattern is not found, then what? So basically what do I have to do is that I'll start iterating my array from left, right? And I have to find a range, right? This range where I've XORed all the elements. So first of all, let's look at another property of XOR. So this property is quite important, is equal to A XOR, B XOR, C. This is called the commutative property of XOR, that no matter in which fashion or in which order you take XOR, the answer is always same. So taking XOR of these two elements first is, and then with this element is same as taking the XOR of these two elements and then taking the XOR with the last element. Alright. So this is an important property. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find a range from left and from right such that this, whatever XOR is for this range, is lesser than, is greater than some range in left where I've taken XOR of these elements, right? So if I find such a pattern, then my answer is found, that is, this exists. All right. Now, how to find the number of operations? So to find the number of operations, what I'll do is I'll take this I, all right, and I'll take this K. So whatever is the difference, minus 1 will be my answer. Okay. So let's start coding this part. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll create a prefix array. So instead of using the direct array, what I'll do is I'll create an array in which what will I store is that I'll store the XOR of all the elements until that element. So if this is my array, right, and my I is at some this position, so I'll transform this array into having the XOR of A0, XOR A1, XOR A2, so on so forth till XOR of A1, AI, sorry. Alright. So I'll transform my array in such a fashion to create a prefix sort of a thing. Why? Because I need these, right? So it will become quite easier because you see when I take the XOR of these elements, so to find the XOR of all the elements until here, what I'll simply do is I'll take the XOR of this element and I'll take the XOR of this element. So what will this return to me? So what this technically returns is that suppose this is the array and somewhere here is I and somewhere here is J. So what is J storing? J is storing the XOR of all of these elements and I is storing XOR of all of these elements. So when I take XOR of J and I, right? When I take XOR of A of J and A of I, basically all these elements are common. And because all these elements are same, they will cancel out. I will in one step have the XOR of elements from I to J. So that's why this prefix array is useful here. Okay. So let's start coding it. I hope that the logic is clear to you. When I code it, it will be further clear. Don't worry. Right. So first of all, I'll just transform my original array. Right. So I'll do it as A of I is equal to A of I XOR A of I minus 1. So you'll see that I'm taking one base indexing. Now this is why I'm taking one base indexing, because for the first element I need only that element, otherwise I would have had to put an extra OR condition everywhere. So I didn't go into that. So basically what I'm just simply doing is that when it's taking XOR with 0, so there's one thing I missed, that A of 0 should be initialized to 0. So that when the first element comes, it will be taking the XOR of itself with 0, and any elements XOR with 0 is the element itself. Alright. So in else condition we were looking at, so what do we have to do is first I'll initialize an answer. So I'll initialize it to int max since we have to return the minimum number of steps, right? So I'll initialize it to int max. So now let's start iterating over the array for int I equal to 1, I less than equal to n plus plus I. Now I'll take another loop here. Sorry, j equal to I, j less than equal to n plus plus j, and then finally a final loop. I'll just explain what these loops are for. For int k equal to 1, k equal to j plus 1, k less than equal to n plus plus k. All right. So I will keep track of my start element. J will keep track of the end of my left range. K will keep track of my end of right range. So if we look at it in the array, what are these denoting? Right. So basically, if this is the array and this is I, this is j, and this is k. So this is the left range and this is the right range. So I will keep track of where my left range is starting from. J will keep track of where my left range is ending, and k will keep track of where my right range is ending. J also keeps track of the beginning of the right range. Okay. So these are the elements that I need, right? Let's continue the code and check the condition. So what I'm going to calculate here, since this could be a large number, so I'll take long int, right? Left is equal to what? A of j XOR with A of I minus 1, right? So why I'm taking I minus 1? Let's see that as well. There are a few reasons for that. So first of all, my j is starting with I, right? So if I'm taking A of I with j, my first XOR will come out as 0. Now I don't want this because then again, it's of no use to me, right? There could also be another case that see. So basically see, So when I is equal to 1, right? 1 equal to I, right? In that case, basically my j's, a of j's, XOR is going to be with 0 because a of 0 is initialized to 0. That means I'm looking for all those cases where simply I will be finding a range like this such that this range XOR is less than the previous element itself. So if I find a range here, right, if I am able to find a range here whose XOR, that means these many steps, these many XORs I've taken, their XOR is going to be less than the current element, still my answer is satisfied and I will count those steps. Okay, so this is to handle that case. Okay, so I hope this point is clear. Once you dry run it yourself, it'll be more clearer. Okay, and next up I have to take long and right. So right range is what? Right range is again a of k XOR with a of j. So this will give me, so this is basically XOR from elements j plus 1 to k. Okay, and this here is XOR from element I plus 1 to j. Sorry, I to j. Okay, so why is that? Because I'll show you just here. I showed it to you previously, but I'll show it again. So you remember that here we see this I is also overlapping, right? So this I will also go. Similarly, from j to k, if we look at j, k. So what does j have? J has the XOR from this to this element, and k has XOR from this to this element. All right. So all of these will be cancelled, and this is j plus 1, and this is j plus 1 to k. This is the same thing as above. All right. I hope that point is again clear as well, that the first element gets cleared out. Okay. Which is also why I've started my k from j plus 1 and j from I, so that when I take the XOR with I minus 1, it is still stuck at 0. And when I take from k, it goes up till j plus 1. Okay. So that's why I've done this, because it would not be right to compare two same elements. Okay. So continuing the code. So here once I've done this, so if my left has come out to be greater than right, that means my answer is found, and I'll update my answer. Answer is equal to minimum of answer comma k minus I minus 1. Okay. And at the end of these for loops, inside the else statement still, yes. So this is inside the else statement. If answer is not equal to int max, that means I found an answer, right? So I will see out answer and endl. Else, that means I did not find an answer, I will see out minus 1 and endl. Okay. So this is the entire code for it. Let's just copy this and try and submit the code here. Okay. So is the right problem selected? Yes, D is organ, and let's try and submit. See, so you can see that this is accepted here. This is the latest submission. Okay. So I hope that the code is clear to you. So what mistake I was doing earlier is that with my indexing, I began taking these answers with not with j plus 1, and from j I was doing the overlapping, so which I explained why it was wrong. So which is why I got first few wrong answers to this problem, but then I was able to figure it out after try running it myself. So I'll recommend you do that as well. So I hope that you liked today's video, liked today's explanation of this question. And if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and press that bell icon for more great content. Thank you. Thank you for joining in. Keep coding.